Yeah, I think I signed on the left disclosure party, which I think was wrong. That's wrong, I think. Yeah, that's right, you're right. That's it, that's how you determine. What is today?
The 26.
We got our invitation for the San Anderson too late, didn't we?
Well, I signed up to go. Just to go, yeah, he was still going.
The Sands Anderson meeting? I thought you signed up to go to the BIA thing.
Well, they not the same day. I'm gonna be gone all next week.
The, information, all that, we're going to brush it up at 22nd.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, yesterday.
I saw brother-in-law and mother.
Yeah, they said.
I just had
Say, how you doing, Joe?
All right, brother. Hey, Rich.
I tried to call you back twice.
It's been one of those days.
Well, you don't know the half of it.
Yeah, I'm sure I don't.
Does everybody, who all signed this? I'll take it. Put it
I just
put it
laid
down
mine.
to
Where'd I
work.
just lay mine down at?
I'll take it and get it
I
back.
didn't get it to you, did I? All right, now here it is. Here it is.
I'm gonna take it, lay it in the boardroom. You signed yours already?
Yeah. Is anything good there?
We'll figure it out.
sign something too. Hot dog, I use about 3 pens. And I'm bringing a pen to sign this thing.
I don't know. We even got this or what?
Unless we can do
They said we was receiving party, I reckon.
We don't need that.
what we don't do. What he said is
I think it is too. I think it's see like
But I don't know.
if it may not. I don't know.
nose and all this stuff. I don't know. Rex, where do you want to?
yeah, you're fine. I'm not
You're
going
correct.
here either, so.
I signed on that.
I'm gonna take it and lay it on Crystal's desk.
No, I didn't give it. I was telling Bob what to do with these.
I put those others in. 601. I'd like to return from recess and call the board to order. All right, how do you suggest we proceed, Mr. Dalton? We'll go with people speaking first.
I think that's the best issue. Way to proceed, let This is from the people that came.
All right, do we have that list? Use the time
Yeah, Tom operating.
All right, Joe Marshall? You didn't check to speak, but I assume you do want to speak.
I guess so.
Okay.
Not necessarily first, but I will. My comments will be very brief. It concerns the cattle working facility that is proposed. As a producer in this county, and I've been involved with other county weigh facilities in other counties, I'm all for putting a set of scales, pins, pretty basic setup, and that's all I want it to be. You know, that's pretty basic, and it's very efficient. Very little maintenance. It will serve the producers very well if used in that capacity. Whereas if someone needs to weigh some cattle, they pay their fee, and that's all there is to it. And like I said, I'm wholeheartedly in favor of this thing because it'll be a real plus for our ag community. I don't want to be involved in any kind of market in the county or anybody else or getting involved in something like this. I'm only in favor of this. This is for each individual producer to weigh their cattle or whatever kind of livestock, pay their fee, and it'll be a win-win situation for everyone. I don't know about the educational aspects of this to comment on that, but I'm sure it could have its definite benefits, so to speak. That basically sums up where I stand on this thing, and like I said, if that's all it's used as, it'll be a win-win for everybody, and it won't cost the county a lot of problems. It'll be a very good thing, because I've seen these in other counties, and they work out fine. I believe that's all I got to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you, brother.
Linda Mock?
Honorable members of the Board of Supervisors for Carroll County. Recently, my family requested Carroll County Fire EMS to assist in 2 transports and 1 emergent situation. I was impressed, very much so, by the compassion, the expertise, the prompt response, and the medical knowledge exhibited by the medics who responded. EMS, fire, and police are core services. They're services you provide and you promise to the community. These men and women who brave cold weather, tragic situations, and long working hours should expect to be supported in their efforts and service to the county. I understand, I really do, that you must do your due diligence, but I respectfully request that you do not hinder these employees, especially EMS, with hiring freezes, understaffing, and the lack of equipment needed. As a former elected official, like you, and as a volunteer firefighter for 23 years, I am compelled to request that you review your decisions carefully, and I pray that wisdom prevails.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just to let you know, we just finished up a meeting with EMS. We went, I guess, a couple hours, a little longer than we wanted to, but we will be working on that. Thank you. Donna Perry.
Well, I thought my sister was gonna be here, so that's why I put my name down, so I could give my time to her, but she didn't show up. I'm not sure how I feel about the cattle, facility. Like Mr. Marshall said, I don't have cattle, but like Mr. Marshall said, if there was a scaling or something to that effect, some basic something that would be beneficial, but I'm not sure that, from what I hear or what I read, I'm not sure that that's what we're talking about. And, I think that maybe that this has grown into something much, much larger. And I just would like for you all to really take your time, because we don't have a real good track record with these grant-associated type of endeavors in our past. I'm not saying that I'm necessarily against it, because I don't have cattle. But I just worry about competing with private enterprise. I know we've got the G&G and Whiffle that does something, I think, similar to what we're talking about in this area. I don't know to the degree that Lacey Bowman does something similar, and there may be others. But I just don't think we have a real good track record on these joint type of endeavors, and that just concerns me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Katie Horton.
Hello.
Hi.
You probably see me complain a lot lately, especially about the EMS and the hiring freeze, and I want to know what's going to happen. Now, if Keith takes Everett's job and Everett leaving for Whitfield, that leaves us short 4 full-time staff members. 2 years ago, my son stopped breathing in the middle of the night. At the time we lived out in Sylvatus, it was going to take 23 minutes, at least, for them to get there. He was 2 years old. If my husband didn't know CPR, first aid from his time in the military, and needed to take over, we would have lost my son. With 4 people gone full-time, is my son's life worth you saving a few $1,000s? We need the full-time staff. That's why we moved to town limits, so that we could make sure we could get to the hospital in time, because he had it happen again this past weekend. So I want to make sure not only my child's safe, but anyone else's child in the county is safe and is getting the EMS help they need. So I just want to know, and I'll be asking again at the next meeting, how you plan to solve this, because no one's life is worth it. Have a nice night, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alan? Pronounce your last name for me?
Straw, S-T-R-A-W, sorry, my handwriting's not good sometimes.
Yours, mine, the same shape.
I appreciate the opportunity to address you all this evening. I'm the manager at Southern States Carroll County Co-op, and I would like to put my 2 cents worth in on the cattle working facility. I'm a firm believer that agriculture is still the backbone of Carroll County. It is our #1 industry. And I believe that this probably has this project will probably be able to do as much good as any project recently brought into Carroll County, or at least proposed for Carroll County. Yes, I know there's interest in the cattle working facilities, and I think we need those. I've been involved since the beginning discussion started about how we could put an educational component in it. And I know I'm with Southern States, but my background's been most of my life in higher education with extension and university. And what I was asked about was how we could possibly do interns through Southern States, high school and college students that could train there, could be then part of the facilities, and maybe we could offer them internships at the co-op. And then in turn, if they're able to proceed, those opportunities would be that hopefully they could get into a management trainee position down the road and actually better themselves, or become, part of our ag community here in Carroll County. So I've been involved with that all the way along, and I appreciate the opportunity to share that with you. I also have been involved in helping to come up with some of the ideas on equipment and handling facilities. And, yes, as Joe mentioned, we need a place to weigh cattle, to be able to put cattle in, to be able to load out trucks. Not necessarily a marketing opportunity, but just something so that growers who don't have loading facilities to load tractor trailers could bring them there and load out there. And I think that'd be a big asset to our farmers in this county. The other part, though, was having working facilities there so our high school students or junior college students, say with community, wherever they need to be, could learn how to do things. I grew up in a time when higher education was the answer to getting a better job and getting better salary. Unfortunately, today, we still need that, but the biggest thing I see today is young people not knowing how to do things. If we have a young person that can operate equipment, that knows how to do it, that is so important. So I feel like if we can put this working facility in, it's also beneficial to helping our high school students and our young people learn how to do these things so that they're better off in either their own enterprise or going to work for somebody else. So as a representative of Southern States Carroll County Co-op, and also, like I said, I've been involved in discussions with this since the inception, was we are willing to offer up to 3 internships if we do have people involved, if this project does go through. And we have also offered to help pay for some of the materials for the building, probably a minimum of $5,000 towards construction of the facility. And I know that's the limiting factor. My other concern tonight is with Go Virginia funding, and I've been around the university and higher education and state funding and grants most of my career, and I know that once those monies get turned back or don't get used properly, then it's very hard to get them again. And that's a very serious concern of mine, is if we don't take advantage of this opportunity at this point, then down the road, when will that opportunity come again? And I'm not saying just for this project, but just for other things that would go on in this county. And my last concern is I know there's all kinds of personalities involved here, and I'm not calling any names, picking on anybody. I just want to make sure that everybody understands. I think the project will do well. I think the project has potential to help us to further agriculture in our county, to further our #1 industry in this county. And I guess I'd like to say I just don't want to see personal biases maybe influence those decisions. So I appreciate your time. I thank you. And if you have any questions, yes, sir.
What kind of liability are we going to have with bringing students in that's never been around cattle? And,
I know it's a real issue, and I understand what you're saying. It is a real issue. It's a liability.
Yeah.
But my other side is, how are we ever going to teach them if they're never exposed to it? We have this issue all the time. I work with a lot of growers whose children grew up in the tomato patch. When they were in diapers, they were at the end of the field. Of course, for food safety now, we couldn't even do that. But they were, as small kids, they were in the field. They learned how to work cattle. They learned how to drive tractors, run equipment. And unfortunately, today, our young people don't have that opportunity. And so it is a liability, but I think the risk that the potential outweighs the liability and the potential problems. I know there's always going to be that, and I'm aware of what you're saying. Any other questions? I appreciate your all's time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Steve? I don't want to mispronounce your last name.
Just like it's spelled, Potworth. Thank you for your attention. I'm Steve Potworth, and most of you know I am the Agriculture and Natural Resource Agent for Virginia Cooperative Extension here in Carroll County. And I just want to mention a couple things here. First of all, in Carroll County right now, there's 38,000 head of cattle, worth about $31 million. And again, Dr. Straw talked about the importance of agriculture in Carroll County. It's very important. And we grow a lot of crops here too, but that's only 13 million. So it's about 3 times as much value on the livestock. In my other life, I used to teach ag business, and I've been in ag education for 35 years now. And what I've noticed through the years is, and I've seen this in Carroll County, I've lived other places, and I see this in Carroll County, we have great producers here. They're wonderful producers, and they produce a lot of products. But what I see is they're not really good. They love to produce, but the marketing part of it is questionable at times. They don't like to market. This facility that we're talking about is another opportunity for marketing. We've tried to put together lot loads, as it were, of cattle to put them together. And one of the things that we ran into is a place to use the scales and load them out. And this facility would help with that greatly. I just want to also mention, as representing Virginia Cooperative Extension in Carroll County, we've been asked to, or talked about supervising or overseeing the facility, which we are willing to do until such time as we get a full-time manager to do that, because we think this is a very, very important project. We're willing to do the scheduling of it, doing the scheduling of it, and I think we're going to do the scheduling of it. So we're willing to work with and do that project. So we appreciate your attention and listening to us on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Lynn Hatton?
Hello.
Hi.
If you don't mind, I'm going to hand you all.
Yeah.
This is our business plan.
Give Rex one with a lot of pictures. He doesn't read.
I mean, pictures.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You already know, but my name is Lynn Hatton. I am a newer member of the Carroll County Extension Office. And just to start off, I am very happy with that position. It's been nothing but a great experience, great people. I have been involved with agriculture and livestock in this area, Grayson, Carroll, for the last 4 years, between working for a large animal veterinarian and being part of Extension and owning my own sheep farm. I kind of try to do it all. I don't usually get that done, but I'm just here today to be a spokesperson for the Southwest Virginia Livestock and Educational Center, the facilities that are being proposed through the Go Virginia grant and the matches that we have secured. Forgive me if I'm long-winded or if I keep saying too much. I just want to go over some misconceptions first, with some of the concerns that I've already heard today, and then also ones that I've been made aware of. With regards to the marketing concerns of some of the citizens, this program is almost guaranteed there will be a nonprofit board that runs this facility. I know that it was not explained very well the first time, but the company and ownership will be the Southwest Virginia Livestock and Educational Center. It will be a newly formed non-for-profit. They will take care of all the operational, all the maintenance, all that type of thing. And it will be that entity will have its 501c and its name in the next couple weeks. We do have Mandy Archer and Dr. Oliver McBride have agreed to work with us to get that done in the next couple weeks. So by the middle of December, we will have our non-for-profit status, at least in the works. And then also, because it is a non-for-profit, we will have a board. Those positions will be voted on here probably in the next couple weeks also. We will keep the essence of this whole project is to bring a working facility with scales, and this is what I think gets talked about a lot. I think what we are wanting to make sure that people know is this is a community resource. It is not going to be a market. It's not going to turn into that's all we do, that's all that people are doing, are loading out and excluding other people. This will stay a community resource for education, for outreach, for a go-between for all of not only Carroll County, but also Southwest Virginia, including Grayson with Patrick, anyone that needs it. We want to be open for that. I know that Carroll County's highest revenue yearly is agriculture. It brings in a whopping $44.5 million a year. 30.8 of that is from livestock alone. For example, there's 135,000 total head of cattle in Carroll, Grayson, Wythe, and Patrick counties alone. That's a lot. It is essential to utilize this opportunity that we have been given here by bringing a resource like this into our community with the emphasis on economic stimulation and education to continue the agricultural traditions and the livelihood of our rural communities. We live on through the examples that we lead. So we want to make sure that as a part of Extension, that is what we do. We are here for a resource. We want to be available to all that we are to serve, and we want this to be a resource also, as we are a part of it in partnership with a bunch of other people that we've come into agreements with, including the school systems. I do have some agreements here between the school systems they're very excited. We do have one in particular that, if you don't mind, I would like to read to you, if I can find it. I apologize. And it does talk about, in the original grant that was written, there is I'm sorry, concentrating on, about the internships, and that there will be 42 total in 3 years. That's 14 a year. We have secured the first 14 for the first year that we are open. So we have 2 years between when the grant if it gets approved, we have 2 years to be finished. And then at the start of that second year mark, we do have the first 14 secured, and they are paid internships, some at minimum wage. We do know that some will be above minimum wage. So not only will that help the children and, the young adults in our community, but it also is going to help some of our cattle producers. We have businesses and cattle producers that have agreed to take on interns. We do have agreement letters from them also. But we also have been in contact with the building trades. Thank you. I'm sorry. So this letter is from Jay Holderfield. He couldn't make it tonight, but I did tell him that somebody would read this to y'all. It says, "To whom it may concern, I am writing you today to express my support for the proposed cattle facility and the educational benefits of the proposed facility. As the Career and Technical Education Coordinator at the Carroll County High School, I'm excited about the potential educational benefits that the facility such as this would give our students. As the CTE Coordinator, it is my goal to give students every opportunity possible to participate in work-based learning experiences to ensure that they have the necessary skills to enter the workforce when they leave us at CCHS. Our agriculture program currently offers our students a wide variety of courses, including agriculture production technology, livestock production technology, equine science, and veterinary science. All of the aforementioned courses could potentially benefit from a facility such as this one. I also believe the benefits of this facility for our students would reach far beyond our agriculture classes and be used as a cross-curricular opportunity connecting various classes together. Potential projects could include our building trade students assisting in the construction of the facility, or our drafting/engineering students assisting in the drawings and structural layout of the facility. While these are just basic ideas, there is potential with this project. I understand that paid internships are an integral part of the grant, and I would encourage you to consider that for the fall semester, we currently have 38 students enrolled in various internships throughout the community. At CCHS, we have students who are willing and eager to work internships that lead to jobs in our area. According to CTE labor market projection data, careers in agriculture are projected to grow 19% by 2026. This includes a 24% growth in farm and ranch workers. I understand that you are faced with a difficult decision on how to move forward with this facility. I believe wholeheartedly that As a county, we must continue to offer our students educational opportunities that not only help them be successful, but give them skills to be marketable employees and contribute to our community, workforce, and local economy. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, and I can give you a copy of this also if you'd like. Then I also wanted to touch on a couple other things that were asked by the Go Virginia program director. It was asked that we kind of sort these things out, and some of it was, but I think it's just been a lot of miscommunication. First was that the Virginia Cooperative Extension has written a memorandum of understanding that that I do have a copy of also, but that we will help to do the scheduling and to manage the facility. So that memorandum of understanding is in print now. And the operating costs will be paid by donors and by the income from the usage of the facility. So it is in the works to charge the going rate at about $2 a head for the scales and for working the cattle. So that will help with the operating costs. The board did attach an MOU also to the county stating that they will cover the operating and maintenance costs of that. The internships that will go through our organization will be handled through the school systems and also through our organization for tracking purposes. That way, if there's any records that need, if you all need records from us, we will have them for tracking to make sure that we do lead to at least 3 full-time jobs for our interns at the end of a 3-year period. So the only thing I believe at this time, unless there's any other questions, I know I probably skipped around a little bit. The only thing we are asking from Carroll County at this point is to continue to extend the agreement of liability coverage on the facilities and the property and the usage of the tract of land that has been talked about as a local match. We as an organization will make sure to have all the clients and the users of the facility to sign a waiver of liability that will be filed and kept for the foreseeable future. And I do want to touch a little bit on the liability. We have talked to some of the teachers. The children are covered under their liability even while they are at our facilities. Under their programming, they will be covered under that. But we still will have permission slips, if you will, that state that they are allowed to do what they're going to be doing out there. And then consideration for our business plan and the grant approval as we have laid it out today is greatly appreciated. We could spend pages explaining the multitudes of benefits of a facility of this capacity, from the economic impact on Carroll County to the career paths of the rural youth in our area. It is a vision of our board and our organizations to only expand knowledge and to supply a resource. We just want to make sure that that's very clear. This is not any one personal agenda trying to get some sort of beef market up. This facility is going to, it's going to be good for the sheep market. In my case, we will have a head gate that does small ruminants also. We'll have cattle. Veterinarians will be invited from all over the area to come if that's where they need to meet. So I don't know if there's any more questions, but yes.
How will you establish the hours? So you won't be going 7 days a week.
Right. We are going to, at the present time right now, our idea is to get a working shareable calendar, whether it through Microsoft Outlook or Google Calendar, something along those lines, between 2 or 3 of our board members that are able to answer the phone at any given time. There is a phone system where you can roll, that number to somebody else. There will be scheduling done between 3 to 4 people if it's after hours. In the event of an emergency, we have decided to keep the facility on a keypad with a pin that will change every other day or so that veterinarians in the area are made aware whether by phone call or text or something, that what the pin is should they have an emergency at 1 a.m. They have to pull a calf at our facility. Nobody's going to answer, so we want it to always be accessible. It will be a nonprofit. It's not something we're trying to keep from anybody at any time. So, yes, sir.
How many producers do we have in the county that don't have working facilities?
I don't have numbers on that, but I will tell you,
I can't imagine one having cattle that wouldn't have working facilities.
you would be surprised.
I mean,
One thing that I think a lot of people don't realize, coming from the large animal experience that I have, I would say that close to 70% of the calls that I have, the people do not have working
they
facilities.
don't need cattle. I got cattle, I got working facilities.
I understand. It is expensive, and there is a lot of our area that they cannot afford to buy land. They lease it, and in those leases, it does state that they are not to build anything. And I know that I don't want to spend $6,000 on a working chute to be told to get off the land, and everything that goes with that land stays. So I think that's a big thing around here too. A lot of the land is leased or rented or borrowed, and they don't have the money to leave behind equipment as such.
I have rented land. I always had a catch pen. I got a trailer. I can carry them to the house where I got working facilities.
I understand.
When I work on them, I carry them back.
I understand.
I
And
mean,
you
I
are
just
blessed,
can't-
sir.
I can't imagine anybody
'Cause I
having
don't,
cattle not having working facilities.
I understand. I understand. Yes, sir.
I want to read something that a cattle producer from my district, Law Fork, sent me yesterday.
Sure.
He said, looking into this, and he's been involved in this since day one. And he's read it, and he's a lot smarter than I am about cattle, producing cattle. And he is all in favor of this facility, and I am too.
Yeah.
If it's in the interest of Carroll County.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he says, there is no provisions for funding contingencies, no way to pay, for example, the electric bill. No provisions for a manager of the facility. No description of how the facility will become financial stable. There's never been a budget. There has never been a budget before.
I understand.
And he goes on to say, there's no understanding about how cooperation with the school boards. We don't have that.
We do have, only to answer a couple of those, I don't have the answer for all of that. As for one set manager, we have had conversations about that. As the group of gentlemen that are on the board, I believe, and me, I just looped myself in that, I apologize, but the group of us that are on the board, we feel as though one set manager at this time is not, it's obviously not doable, but Extension has agreed to schedule and manage during the day. We do have a bunch of volunteers, so this will be ran by volunteers in the beginning. As one manager of the facility, there won't be one set in stone, but we do have the 4 chairs of the board that will be responsible, of this facility. It will be the overseeing. And then also the electric bill, the light bill, that keeps getting brought up. We did actually today, which, thank goodness, set with, we have a contract here between Healing Springs Large Animal and ourselves, that they are going to cover the light bill for the foreseeable future. They want to be financially responsible for that, and it's signed and ready to go, so.
Okay. And it goes on.
I've actually read that email.
Yeah.
But I do understand a lot of the concern. I think where we stand at the moment is that I think there's a lot of concern over miscommunication. Some of the intention of the grant and where we stand has been construed a little to the wrong side. A lot to the wrong side. Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm hearing things and I'm like, wait, who did you, I don't know who you talked to, but that is not in this. And we have tried our best to cover what need be. There are some things that are a little bit left unanswered. We are hoping that Carroll County understands that we do have most of the financial things are secured, other than the agreement that the liability insurance for the land will be. Yes, sir.
Don't the state provide some match for building new facilities? I know some of the producers got spray barns, they 80/20, they build them, and
I
think some of them
I don't
get-
know. I'm not aware of that. It would be something to definitely look into. I mean, I know that we are not, as for operating costs that gentleman is worried about, we do have an anonymous donor that wishes to remain anonymous that has set up a $20,000 line of credit for our use for operating costs. So we do have that for other things that arise. It is not to be used for the building, for construction of the building or the facility, but it will be there for us to use to pay for things
Okay.
like the light bill. Not that, I mean, that's covered also, so.
But it's been brought to our attention as a board that the county must match $167,000.
No, that's not true. I don't know where that misconception came from. I don't know.
Go Virginia. It came from Go Virginia.
She's actually here. I
Yes.
just talked to her about the match, and from my understanding, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it is that the $100,000 grant from Go Virginia will be used, it's actually in here, but the Go Virginia $100,000 grant will be used to buy the equipment, which the two estimates that we have total around $33,700 on the basic equipment. That doesn't include the fencing. It gets up to close to 70. And as far as we know, the local match of the land will cover $66,000 of that because of the septic that was put in and the land itself, the monetary value of the land goes as a match. So that's the local match. Then we also have Bowman Griffin Construction has, as a non-cash donation, but also the monetary value of building the shell building
Yes.
will go for that. So all that has to be matched, and it's not by Carroll County or us, is 50% of the original grant, which would be $50,000. And
Right,
the
right.
county would already cover that by the land and the septic that was originally agreed upon.
The county, but who's going to match the rest of it?
There is no more match.
In everything
Correct.
that I've read, DLB, Don Branscombe, Sowers Construction, Jim Dixon, I've talked to all of them. They never agreed to any of the match.
And we actually don't, we have Don Branscombe on here, but he does not play into that equation. The only monetary amount that we have to come up with is $50,000. So the grant is $100,000. The only match that we have to come up with is $50,000
From this board.
from, yes,
Okay.
or other resources. But the board with the land covers that. With the land and septic, it's covered. So Don Branscombe, if he's out, he's out. But Bowman Griffin Construction, we know is in.
Yes. We
They're-
talked to them last week.
Right. But that would more than cover, we are at matching it 100% and beyond. And the only match needed is 50% of the original grant,
$50,000.
but not in cash. The land would suffice as,
67,000.
what's that?
The 67,000.
60, yes,
Right,
yeah.
Correct. I have a question. You spoke earlier about the only thing that you're asking for Carroll County, and at the very end, I want to paraphrase it because I don't remember
You're fine.
exactly what you said.
I understand.
Is for the first couple of years. So what happens after the first couple of years? That the nonprofit's going to cover that for the first 2 years, correct?
Of what?
The facility,
The operating?
the operating,
No, that's covered, that will be covered by a nonprofit for the foreseeable future, yes.
well, you said the first couple of
I'm
years.
sorry,
Or something.
I've been talking all day. Apologize.
I feel for you. But so after, I mean, you're not expecting Carroll County, third year, fourth year, fifth year,
No, sir.
sixth year to pay anything?
No, sir.
All
that is
you're
not-
asking for is the land
Yes, sir. The land.
and the insurance.
And the liability
Liability
insurance and the
insurance.
land, yes, sir.
I think you was talking about misconceptions a while ago. I think there's a huge misconception. This board is not against this.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
No, in no way.
Here's where this board stands right now. And I'm going to use a term that I think they'll all agree with me. Several years ago, this board entered into an agreement that said, well, not this board, a
Right.
board entered into agreement with Wildwood. Build it and they'll come, build it and they'll come. that's why I think that we are so skeptical about the details.
Absolutely.
And
And as you should be. The way that it was presented before, I don't believe the details were adequate. And before that, we were able to even look at the grant. I'm not going to lie to you, I saw the original grant 3 days ago, and I've been working on this tirelessly to make sure that you do have the details in the right capacity, not in that the building's going to cost us $200,000. That's not, I don't know where that came from. But I totally understand being gun shy. I would be too.
You know,
I would be too.
we seen, as a board, the application packet for the first time today, probably 2 hours ago. And, you know, we were addressed last week, and they're wanting a decision by December the 1st. And it's just a really, when we sit and look at, you know, our legal counsel, he couldn't be here tonight, but he asked questions, you know. The document refers to the commitments from Mr. Branscombe and Bowman Griffin. Are they signed written agreements?
We do have one with Bowman Griffin.
Okay.
We do. I've not personally
You know,
talked
and
to Don.
these are the things that we've not seen.
Right.
And that's what makes it really, really hard for us. I think this is one of the greatest things that could happen for the cattle growers of Carroll County. I honestly do. Agriculture is our biggest seller in this county, I guess you could
Absolutely.
say. But we need more time, you know, and the legal counsel did make a comment, and it may be something that, you know, he says until we see some more of these documents and till he has time to review them, he doesn't suggest us do anything. He asked if a non-binding resolution of support till the final details can work out would suffice.
That would have to be, our program director would have to be able to answer that. I do understand the time constraint it was an issue for me also. When I saw it, I'm like, what? But I will say, if your consideration can just be there, we do have a lot of this worked out. I am very scatterbrained at the moment, but there's probably more, and I do have copies of, I meant to hand this to you too. I apologize. I only have one copy of this. This is a lot of the agreements between the cattle growers, the memorandums of understanding, and the signed contract with Healing Springs Large Animal for the electricity. So that a lot of those documents are in that packet. I don't know if that will help your legal counsel.
Here's another issue. We talk about interns and the school system. There's no one here from the school system.
We actually,
Well, I've got the
I
same email
understand.
and got a response today
Yeah.
about a person, but that's.
I don't know that the school system was not reached out to as in the school board, because we didn't know where it stood, honestly, until a lot of us on the board hadn't even seen the application packet until a couple days ago also. So we also haven't had a lot of time, but we have talked to the building trades teacher. He's on board. Jay is on board. Fancy Gap, I think it was Fancy Gap, is on board also. I may have misquoted that, but we have talked to a lot of them, and they are excited and on board, but they are teachers. Other than Jay, he's the vice principal. But as with the school board, we don't have any type of agreement with them.
But this is educational
Yes.
facility.
Yes, we are expecting 50% education at this facility and 50% producer/veterinarian usage out of it. So it will be 50/50, and I can see in the future it being more between the extension offices, not only Carroll County, but also surrounding county extension, between the educational programming from them, not only through 4-H, our agents, but also the adult education that goes with their programming and the way that that's set up, bringing in information from Virginia Tech and making sure that our cattle producers have a resource to it.
And I know there was some comment about Grayson County using the educational part of the facility too.
Absolutely.
Is that something that has been discussed with them at all? I mean,
Yes.
and know, you know, transportation details on that would be very intricate to work out.
Yes.
Especially in a class setting, so.
We have talked a little bit, I know, with Grayson County, and they do have a farm that was donated to them that they do their educational programming at. So they did mention, you know, the hike coming up here from Independence and other areas. They go to that farm. There is working facilities there for them, but it was donated for that reason. But same problem we have, you know, pulling kids from Laurel Fork and taking them all the way to Independence is kind of, by the time they get there, their class is over, so.
It seems like we're often asked to make decisions that have long-term problems or benefits, but we're often asked to do it at the last second. Can anybody explain to us why this has been kind of discussed for a good while, but why are we up against the deadline all of a sudden?
If I can speak bluntly, I believe, looking at everything, that it was set up by the former administrator. When he left, whatever documentation was left was not,
The grant was approved May 9th,
Right.
2019.
19. Right, yes, sir.
Also in that grant, there was another grant that hired a person for Southwest Virginia, I believe, down around Duffield, that would do a bunch of things. That would start a, I don't know, economic development type thing. That would probably have been the best thing to do with this grant, was to hire somebody to come in and
Right.
sew all these things together.
Right.
That's just a,
Right.
and we passed
And
that.
I don't know that those opportunities were presented with the
Right.
leaving of Truett. I don't know. I was not involved with it at the time. A lot of us were kept in the dark. The ones that did have the documents didn't share them. And I don't know any names, so I wouldn't share them if I did, but I don't know. But I know the documents didn't get into the hands of the people that knew what was going on and had the vision originally and were part of the original grant-making process until literally probably 4 or 5 days ago. I saw it 3. Yes, sir.
I'm not in total opposition with it. I'm just concerned
Yeah.
about how many people would benefit from it. They've got to have a kitchen facility to get them there. And how many people is not equipped to handle them is what I'm questioning. Then the farmers that's got them, their children's out there, they're getting to see them work. The ones, I look at the school children, a lot of them, I wouldn't take the barn with me to work cattle, you know?
I totally understand that.
So,
I do.
I mean, that's the concern
I do,
I
but
have, you
I will
know?
tell you, I was raised in poverty in town. I think the last place that anyone that looked at me in the school was out working sheep, and it's the highlight of my life, sir. So I don't think we should take that opportunity from the ones who are not raised on a farm and they don't have the cattle working experience. I know one of the veterinarians that I'm close with, she was raised by doctors, you know, and her favorite thing is to come home covered in poop. So, you know, you don't ever know who you're influencing and when you're doing it. And if the kid has signed up for agriculture or cattle working, or we should, to the best of our ability, be able to give them those experiences so they are able to make those decisions and those career paths for that. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to say that with the technology that has existed for a long time, it'd be very easy to telecast from Virginia Tech to a Carroll County, Grayson, Galax sites, or telecast with a presentation in Grayson County, and that satellites over to Carroll and Galax. I
Right.
mean,
You mean for like cattle working experience?
for
any
anything.
education.
I mean, and this has existed since at least 2000 and beyond that.
Right. And that would be a great benefit to having the classroom and the technology that we've set forth in this grant. We can share with other rural communities and maybe their extension offices and
A
schools,
lot
but,
of counties have, and relatively close, they have trouble getting a foreign language teacher. So they'll
Yeah.
hire one at a nearby high school.
Yes.
And that's telecast over to adjoining high schools.
right,
And,
yeah,
I mean, if you sell cattle
right.
on the screen
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. I don't see why you couldn't teach by it.
Yeah.
I don't see that as a
And
problem.
I agree with you 100%. The only thing, you know, the first time I watched one of the veterinarians I worked for give a shot, I'm like, I can do that. And I about got my arm ripped off. Because of just watching it, someone who knows what they're doing is not always, you know, I know that I've heard rumors, I've not seen it, that in this area, the kids are learning how to give shots onto an orange. That is not reality. I mean, that's the best we can do with what we have, and that's what we should be doing, you know. But if we're given this opportunity and kids are able to come in and work with actual cattle producers who have been doing it their entire lives, and they can give them wisdom that we can't, you know, I for sure can't. I'm still learning. I still am that little girl that grew up in the city, but we just, you know, if there's any other questions or anything we can help you understand or try to understand.
Okay, I got one question.
Okay.
From what I'm 2 years on the board of supervisors. I was fed all year by our former county administrator that this was a done deal. Well, I'm gonna cost Carroll County a penny. Everything was signed, sealed, delivered. He left. Then I find out 6 weeks ago that, what's the problem? It's supposed to start. So I've been investigating this. In that agreement was that the Virginia Corporate Station Extension, Carroll County was going to manage it. When we contacted them, they said, no, we will not. Now, you say you have a MOU with them that they'll do it now.
Well, I think that was miscommunication when they were approached about managing it. I think it was more that at the time we couldn't agree to it until we had spoken to. We do have higher ups in extension. We can't just you know, willy-nilly do what we want. But and then also there were some issues that we had to resolve, i.e. the funds handling through our office and that kind of thing. Can we put a stamp and say we are the managers of a cattle working facility? We didn't know, you know, and that I think it was blindsided. Our agent was blindsided with that question. So no is the safest answer, so he doesn't get in trouble, you know. But
So you're saying
there is a memorandum of understanding.
they are going to manage it?
I wouldn't say manage. We will oversee. Yes.
Okay.
And in that original, I will say that I have heard that they don't know where that came from. I think that was assumed. It wasn't talked to I am a new extension. I was not here when that happened either, but.
I don't mean to pressure
No,
you,
you're
but-
fine. I'm trying to give you the information I have, but, I do know that was a miscommunication. And it was just, we need to work some stuff out to see if that's even possible. We are going to do everything that we are allowed to do, in the position that we are in.
Exactly, and I appreciate that 100%. But us sitting up here committing Carroll County to do this,
Right,
we don't know.
right.
Are you or no, you're not? Here's my whole bottom line, and I'll shut up.
You're fine.
2 years from now, if we sit here as a board and vote to do this, what is Carroll County's liability going to be 2 years from now? Are we committing hundreds of thousands of dollars?
No. The only thing that this grant and this facility will need from Carroll County is the land, the septic, and the liability insurance on the land that is being used.
Okay.
That is it.
And 2 years from now, this facility folds. We lost that.
No, it will still be your land.
So we get a reversion clause, comes back to Carroll County?
I would imagine so. I don't know about that.
I'd have to ask the HCD about that.
But the deed will stay in the name of Carroll County. It will just be used by the facility.
And the reason I brought that up, 2 years on the board, Carroll County has got burnt by
I understand.
many people. We have got to protect the citizens' money and land.
I understand.
And I am not against this project whatsoever. I see the possibilities for it. But I have got to be careful
Yeah.
to say,
Absolutely.
yes,
And that's why we put you in that position. We don't really want someone who's not, but I will say, in the time that I have spent working with cattle producers and extension agents and all the like, there is not a group of people that are not going to burn you more. And we've talked to every single one of the cattle producers that is interested. We do have agreements from them. We have recommendations from them on how it will help them. It will help our community. And I don't mean to, try to build them up because they stink most of the time, but they are one of the best group of people that I've ever been around. And I am not, I'm a new sheep farmer. I'm not really in that community. I fell into it and here I am, so.
I understand that, and I appreciate you being here.
I appreciate you, the caution, though. We do appreciate the caution.
Right.
We don't want it to fold. It is the hope that what we've done so far, and I'm not saying this is it. This is probably the roughest business plan that you've ever come across because I had to do it. But we are still in the works. We are still working, and we will still try to secure the monetary donations, grants, things that we can. But we do not expect Carroll County to any way fund this facility.
And this may be a question for Ms. Hunter. Mm-hmm. Is there any way of getting us a time extension? Till we can get some of these details worked out. That's fine.
I appreciate you facing the firing squad. You did a great job.
It's just part of the job.
Yeah.
So, we are on a pretty thin timeline here, and the reason is, like Mr. Hill said, it was approved in May 2019. And that's 6 months ago, so we've been sitting on it, and this is supposed to be a 2-year project. So they're wanting some movement on it, right? They want some traction, so it's going to be very difficult to get an extension. They want to be able to report back to the state board what's going on. But I just wanted to clear up some things, too, as far as your match question. So Go Virginia is 1-to-1 for our per capita, which is what this is. And so it's $50,000 or 20% the total project for the local funds, whichever is greater. Okay, so you guys are coming in at a total of $66,000 with the land and septic from the county. So that clears up the match question. And then as far as this project in general, all right, on behalf of Go Virginia, I've been in this position for almost 3 months now. So I'm fairly new, and I wasn't around when this project got approved. I think it has it's a great project if it was able to be implemented. I think it's going to benefit the county, the educational system, and hopefully get people into jobs without having to, go on to receive that degree. But I do understand the situation you all are in, and this is a 2-year commitment to Go Virginia. And I want to make sure that all partners involved are in a healthy situation. You all have to feel really good about where you are and where you are with Go Virginia, where the extension is, so everyone that's involved. I don't want you by any means to think that the bridge is burnt with Go Virginia, okay? I just want to stand up here and say that. We are here to support our 13 counties that we represent. If we're able to get more projects within the county, that's great. That's great for the county. We want to see our counties succeed. So I just wanted to say that. I don't want you all to think that if you're burning any bridges, okay?
It's just really hard.
That's the rumor that was out there.
Yeah. And it's just really hard for us to step up and want to sign this agreement when our legal counsel says, until there's some changes made, I don't feel comfortable you all signing this agreement. And I hope people can understand. I think any good businessman that had this laid down in front of him would turn around and walk away from it. I mean, until
And
he had.
I wish you would have had an updated business plan before your legal counsel was here.
Yeah.
I think that would have helped a lot of the questions he had. Also, I wish that 6 months ago, we all weren't kept in the dark about
And
what was going
he
on.
also asked, that a lot of the milestones that's in the agreement have done passed.
Mm-hmm.
And he says that from what he knows, a new schedule of milestones would have to be prepared and approved by DHCD.
Yeah, so anything moving forward as far as changes being made, such as the milestones, would have to be submitted in a proposal format to DHCD to review. Now, DHCD, as far as this project goes, they've gone above and beyond to support us as a support organization and try to provide the support here for the county. But like I said before, it has got to be a healthy situation. Now, you know, I said this before at the Board of Supervisors meeting, I think last week. You guys can come back and use this money as match, but it has to be within the year. So May 9th, 2019, I believe.
And you honestly believe there's no way to beg, steal, or borrow an extension?
I can ask, but.
What about the commitment clause that you had talked about?
Well, that's what that's what it says here. You know, he suggests a non-binding resolution of support until we work out the final details. That would have to be something that DHCD would approve, and till we can get everything, all the I's dotted and the T's crossed. It's just this board has really, I guess you could say, been burnt in the past. And we don't want to be burnt no more for this county because we have such a huge financial burden upon us.
Yeah, I understand.
And what's sad about this, we got Virginia Tech, right over here, it's building constantly. They put facilities all over the state of Virginia, but they can't come here or can't be involved with this part, other than the extension, which in 2006, 8, somewhere in there, Virginia Tech was cutting those positions, and this room was filled just like it is now, speaking on behalf of the extension service. You know, that's a sad part. Now, we appreciate what you're doing, but.
Well, I'm probably in the minority here as far as, you know, most of these people are cattle people, but there's just so, Rodney's right, there's just so many things. Like, okay, just like the land, you give the land or you put up the land, but a facility's gonna be built. Who's gonna own that facility? And is there gonna be money borrowed against that land? If there is,
No.
then that land, they will not accept that.
There will be no money borrowed against the land. The nonprofit and the grant will pay for the facility.
The grant's $100,000, $70,000
To help move this forward, last time you mentioned that you wanted to be, maybe in private, one of these emails. The possibility of changing the sub-grantee from Carroll County. If they are a nonprofit license, can we change the sub-grantee, give the land to them with the septic, and let them move forward with this project as a sub-grantee?
If they are a nonprofit, yes. So it has to be a planning district commission, nonprofit, or local government. I'm sorry, for our applications. So
It has to be a
Yeah.
governmental entity that's.
Can be a nonprofit. We
So
have
it could be a
nonprofits.
nonprofit. So if they get their papers tonight, and if we said tonight, we're going to give you the go-ahead, if they get their papers in 2 weeks and become the entity, that we transfer that responsibility to them and we will give them the land, we could move forward with this project and they would take all the responsibility.
Now, where this is a new nonprofit being created because of this project, I would have to communicate that with JCD to see if they were okay with that. Now, we had previously discussed maybe Mount Rogers Planning District Commission filling in as the fiscal administrator.
I did, but I hadn't heard this thing about them becoming a nonprofit until 15 minutes ago.
That's because of the funds handling, and to keep the facility as stated. That way it doesn't sway towards personal agendas.
Can you run that by DHCD?
I can't.
And we're not opposed to that at all. I think one of our biggest issues with that, actually owning the land, is
You wouldn't own the land. We would provide the land with a lease type of long-term that would give
so
them.
you would provide the liability insurance also. That's our issue. Because
issue-
of the
well, the issue
liability
on
insurance
insurance
for
is-
personal, that would be astronomical for us, whereas for county that already has that, like over
The
the
county
rescue.
can't push forth our liability insurance to anybody else.
It would be on the land in the facility.
We can cover the land that we own if we enter into a long-term lease with a reversion clause in it. So we can cover the land, but what's happening on that land, if it's in your facility, we can't cover that. Our insurance is not going to do that as a third party.
Does the liability insurance for like the search and rescue building, when they have birthday parties and stuff there, does it cover that? If somebody were to get hurt in the building? With renting that
Does
space
the
out?
county own your building, the search and rescue? Y'all own the building,
We own the building.
so they have their own insurance.
That would be something, I guess, we just have to move forward with
But
what we
the scho-
can.
The schools on the farm below Hillsville Elementary, those kids are operating equipment and stuff, so.
School facility, so they're covered. I think that's what you said earlier. When
Yeah.
they're
The children are
leaving
covered
school,
by the
they're
liability.
continually covered.
Yeah.
The children are. But that's a question. If we could simply say they're the grantee and we'll provide the land as the match in the septic, and if they're eligible, I can't see why that wouldn't work and everybody could just move forth with this. That's no liability to the Board of Supervisors. It's only on the nonprofit then to make it happen.
It sounds like to me, Salel, you and these folks and your superiors in the great beyond would have to put your heads together and see if
I
they.
think it all goes back to how DHCD manages the process, those questions.
You know, the reversion clause, those kind of things, those details have got to be worked out. And
But if the nonprofit group, this presentation, has taken all of that, and they're going to collect the fees, and they've got all these agreements in place, and all we have, the Board of Supervisors and the county has, is an agreement to provide on the property, get the match. That is the best win-win that can come out of this.
That's really all we're asking, other than the liability, the umbrella of liability. And I think in the original agreement, that was, and I know that was Truett, and no one can read his mind, but that was in the original agreement, that we would be under the umbrella of Carroll County's liability insurance.
Carroll owns the facility, that is true. You cannot, the board is limited into who they can cover and where, just like the school board.
Right.
When the kids are traveling, we can cover the employees and the ownership. We can't cover everybody. And we'll run that up to the VACORP people tomorrow, how that could happen. But I sat on the VACORP board for 10 or 12 years. The insurance board, I just don't see how.
Understand.
It's like me trying to buy insurance for your life.
Right.
It's just tough to do.
I would feel better if we could get legal to look over everything, get the documents redone like they need to be done, and we can move from there. And I know that we're on a time crunch. Monday's the 1st, and it's Thanksgiving weekend, so the state's closed from 12 o'clock tomorrow through Monday, so.
You two, don't, would you stand up as a,
I'm sorry, Dr. Concerned citizen. We don't raise cattle, but we do raise dogs, and we do participate in dog shows. Also, we have friends and neighbors that participate in and horse shows and race horses. Could something like that be done at this facility, therefore to kind of help you with revenue stream?
You mean like shows and that?
Yes, ma'am.
I believe if it's coordinated, absolutely, yes, ma'am. It is open to the public for programming, educational programming. That'd be a great thing to bring our kids to, especially horse shows and dog shows, that kind of thing. But yes, I don't see why not.
Okay.
It is open for any type of agricultural livestock.
This is me, and I was also raised with cattle, you know, and my dad, you know, Paul Hay and all that sort of thing. But the serious question is it suitable to do something like that?
Probably,
Because-
definitely not in the first year or two, no. I
And
don't.
what I'm talking about, this is terrible, and I don't mean to sound mean, but cows do things. But would it be, if it's so you could have horses and you could have dogs there without danger of them getting into some foul smelling stuff? See what I'm saying? Is
If you mean the cleanliness of the
yeah,
building.
that's what I'm saying. Thank you. That was elegant. I'm trying not to say.
As much as possible, it will be, there will be a tractor used to clean up as much as possible, yes. And I believe the inside working facility will be a lot cleaner than most.
Salil, I've been texting DHCD here. So the answer to your question on the nonprofit is most likely yes. They would be willing.
So,
Does that give us an
I would
extension
be
of any sort?
willing, if then we're out of it, except for transfer, then I think I'm in agreement with, if the answer is maybe yes or almost yes, that the board could go ahead and say, change the contract to them as the sub-grantee. Give us 14 days. Did you say 14 days? That you
They're
will get
about the middle of December, yeah.
middle of December, that they could sign that agreement. We'll send a letter of support from tonight, if the board agrees, that we want the opportunity to transfer the sub-grantee, and we will ensure that the land is transferred with a revision clause. And that'd be a recommendation to you guys to have. That takes us completely out of the liability issue. Then, okay, we have to work out this insurance issue.
That would be I think something we need to sit down and have a meeting, maybe, like they said, meeting of the minds, what we can do.
But FACOR, who we insure with, which is a self-funded pool, on the phone, and they can
Right.
give us an answer to that. I think we're more likely going to have to go out on the private market to get something that you're talking about. As far as being on the land, I think we could cover that. But inside the working facilities, they'll throw up a red flag every time.
Right.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah.
That's fine. So,
I've been impressed with the way you two handle yourself. It's probably the closest thing in history if somehow they had found two survivors from Custer's Last Stand and brought them in, and there was two privates, and then you had all these congressmen around asking for all
An
these
account.
asking for all these accounts of what happened there, and you two privates having to deal with it. So
I just wish we had been able to meet sooner.
yeah.
And I don't want to hold up
you're
anybody
fine.
any longer. But after talking with DHCD, they seem okay with that. Most likely, yes, was the response. So with that, if you all are contingency upon this all happening, and they would like to come down DHCD and sit with all of the healthy partners and talk about what that looks like. So if you all are okay with that, I'm very
good as long as
excited.
our legal counsel says we're good. I'm good. So.
Actually, with that, we don't have to have any of those agreements that he's discussed.
Okay. As long as our only obligation is this lien, and we're not carrying a financial obligation.
Okay, yes, and so, but you all, I think it would be a great idea to get the extension in the room, to get the school system in the room, you guys in the room, Mr. Dalton here, to sit down with DHCD and see this transfer of ownership. You gonna just do what I say?
Yeah.
Pretty much,
Okay.
most of the time.
Try to make the arrangements to have it late in the day as
Okay.
possible.
I can do it.
Works better for me because, Tom works, but the rest of this bunch up here is retired.
So we'll plan to wrap this up before the holiday season for Christmas, okay? And sounds good. Thank you all.
The fact that there's an Indian burial ground on that site will change things.
So I'm assuming we need to do a vote for contingency vote or not?
Just agreed upon.
Just agreed?
Is that we're moving forward.
Okay.
And if it changes, we don't have, y'all don't have to prove anything. I'll present at the next EDA meeting, the transfer of this property. It needs to meet some balance of that. Before we're talking about 1, 2 acres, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever the issue is. But then that, it seems to me that the moderation gets us moving forward, takes the Board of Supervisors and county out of the funding now and the future, and allows the group to be successful, or work hard to be successful.
If we can afford the liability, yes.
I will say Mr. Dalton ensures that we all know what's going on.
Yes.
So I feel very comfortable in this and knowing that that nothing will happen unless we all are well aware of what's going on.
Thank you, and I want to say thank you, ladies. I'm sorry I
Yes.
barbecued you.
That's okay.
But you know what we're facing, and
Yeah.
we're just trying to protect the citizens of Carroll County.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Thank
I
you
just,
very much.
I hope next time we can all meet sooner
Yes,
on issues that are this pressing. So
Yes,
I do,
yes.
I appreciate your time,
thank you.
all of you, and thank you for all the
your hard
consideration.
work. Thank you for all your hard work.
I just got one last thing to say. And we've talked about different things on this. And Mike Quillen is on the board. There was a quote from him. He says, when an employee wants to do a good job, he or she will often cut corners to improve productivity. They want to do a good job, but in the end, the shortcut may not be the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
So that's where we were at this point.
I'm in agreement with that statement.
But now we're going to fix it, and go forward, correct?
Right.
Let's get it
Absolutely.
done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other.
Did Bobby Webb intend to speak?
I think.
Young lady did a great job.
I've
You
still
still
got
have
3
4
people here. Lynn, did you want?
She just spoke.
All right. Dustin, do you wish to speak?
The only
Richardson?
thing I would like to say, would you like me to just speak from here?
Your choice right now.
Okay, the only thing I'd like to share is that I'm willing to donate my time and energy to help see this through. If there's something that I can assist with Extension, with Go Virginia, with whatever entity is involved, I'm willing to help in any way I can, because I see the benefit from an educational side. I've worked as an agriculture educator as well as I've seen the benefit as a student where it can take different opportunities open and different career opportunities that come from that. At this time, if y'all have any questions as far as the educational side, I'm sure you don't because of what we just discussed and went through. But if there's ever anything I can do to help assist this process move along or help do some of the footwork behind it, feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to support this in any way.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Dustin.
Thank you.
Will you hire an intern?
I
I just thought that. Travis Bunn.
Well, I'm not going to speak very long, but I do appreciate your all's time and concern. You know, as a citizen, I'm excited about the future. I mean, I know you all have got some big hurdles that you're going to have to overcome in the coming months and stuff like that. And I respect the fact that you take this serious. I also appreciate your support. Hopefully, I'm not going to have to speak anymore after this, but I do want to invite you all. I've been on this board that's been working on this project since day one. And there was a 6-month timeline where nothing was happening. And I'm not pointing the finger at you all. I'm not pointing the finger on county administration. I'm not pointing the finger at us, but we need to make sure that that does not happen moving forward. And I would, in our discussions, as we were trying to combat some of the misinformation that was out there, the common thing that come up was, well, we didn't, we haven't heard from this person, or we have not done this, or, they're saying, well, let's nix that, okay? Let's all try to be at that table at these meetings, and make sure that it's not hearsay, okay? Let's make sure that you all are getting firsthand information from the group, and that we're getting firsthand information from this board and county administration. So I'm just inviting you all to attend these meetings. I know your schedules are busy, and, ours are too. And we want to get as many of you all there as we can, and we promise that we will get as many people on our board to be there so that we can work together. Because I'm, like you all, I think it's a great project. Timing sucks, okay? I mean, this crunch has really put us in a bind. And I think if given more time, I think you all would be a little more at peace with this. But I wanted to invite you all to the meetings, and we'll try our best to have as much in attendance so we can cut some of this misinformation out, okay? All right, that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
You're welcome to attend any board meeting if you wish.
You keep us
We'll be
informed.
meeting twice a month, except for January.
Yep.
Anybody else wish to speak on the matter? Yes.
I'm Charlie Wright. I'm the president of Carroll Grayson Cattle Association. And I've been trying to get a group of cattle sold. And one of the biggest things that these buyers and stuff that I've been talking to is wanting to know where the location is we're gonna load that. And I've been telling them that we was gonna have it here in Carroll County, right off 77. And so I got up and I got between 400 and 500 head of cattle that we could have been sold in November if we had this working facility up and running. So if you take 400 head at $2 a head, that's $800 right there, just in one day. I think it's a good thing, and it would really benefit us as farmers. And I mean, that's all I got to say.
Thank you,
Charlie.
Thank you.
What is the problem? You can't load them. Do you not have a driveway facility to get the trailer in, or?
They like it close to the interstate. Like Tommy Stockner, we could go to Tommy's and load out right there, but they don't like to go that far off of the main road.
Thank you.
All right, I guess we're down to the fire and EMS. Do we need to do that, or at this point, I think? To what?
Help yourself.
All right. We have a person that will be the acting EMS director. And I guess we need to make an official vote on it. Keith, would you like to stand up and just come forward and just say a few things about your qualifications, and then we'll see whether or not what we do. All right?
So my name is Keith Slayball. I have served with Carroll County as a full-time paramedic firefighter for the past 10 years. I started out part-time a couple years before that. Prior to that, I was volunteer with Laurel Fork Rescue. Also spent time with Hillsville Fire as a volunteer. For the past number of years, I've been in the acting position, or been in the position of the Assistant Emergency Services Coordinator underneath Everett. Been through VDM's basic academy for emergency services coordinator. With Everett leaving, he did recommend me to take his place in interim. It's something that I'm willing to do, step up and help out where need be. Be glad to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions?
I don't have any questions. I have a comment to make.
Okay.
If that's okay. Last Monday, week ago last night, we had a work session. And we were working with our county administrator, our interim county administrator, because we have a shortfall in budget. And Mr. Dalton had made a list of places we could look to see how to solve this budget crisis we're in. I don't know what happened. It was strictly a work session. It was things that was mentioned, places we could look. There was never any action taken that Monday night. Never. Nothing. We listened. It was a work session. The next thing that we know, Tuesday morning, we're getting thrown under the bus because we're cutting places, we're doing this, we're laying off this, we're going to do all these things. Where that came from, I could speculate, but I can't prove. Folks, I want to tell you something, and I'm going to use your time right here. There is not a person, and I can speak for every person sitting on this board, that wants to cut anything, that wants to harm anybody. But we're under a budget crunch because of things that's been told to us in the past that didn't pan out. We have no alternative than to fix those problems. Our county administrator said, here's places to look. Here's some places that a lot of money's going. Look at it. Never was anything said, cut, fire, cut, get rid of, do this away with this. Never was that said. But everything I read, I'm sorry, Ethan, in the press was, we made those decisions last Monday night. We did not. We did not make a single decision on anything. My phone blew up for 2 weeks. I had county employees send me emails that slurred me to the point says, if you want to cut a position, cut your own. What? We never said we're going to cut your position. The paper did. I talked to him later that day. I reached out and I said, call me, let's talk. He said, the paper said you're cutting all these positions, especially in fire and EMS, and that's why I'm bringing this on.
Sure.
He said, if you want to cut something from public safety, cut your own position. Dude, we never said that. We are looking to solve the problems of this county. Never did we ever pinpoint. You can vouch for me. Never did we say we're cutting EMS. We're cutting this. Tuesday morning, WXIT in Winston-Salem sent me an email. Understand you're cutting positions. Why? How many? And what's the reason? What? We never discussed that Monday night. It was strictly a work session to see what our options are to keep this county afloat. I got to vent. I'm venting. All right? I'm sorry. Too many people have called me too many names, not knowing what they're talking about, because what do we all do? We think of the negative. Oh, they talked about EMS. Oh, I'm losing my job. Damn you. Everybody has vented. And I have tried, and it's my turn. I've been doing this for a week now. It's my turn to vent and say, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, yeah, the newspaper said, I'm sorry, Ethan, the TV said, everybody said you're cutting. No, we're not. We hadn't yet. We're going to look at it. We got to look at what's best for this county in the shape we're in right now. Guys, hang on. I made the statement last Monday night, a week ago last night. I said, we got big decisions to make, hang on. And that's what I meant, hang on. We have not made any decisions whatsoever. I promise you, and I'm going to speak out for me, I don't want anybody to lose their job. I don't want any service cut in this county if we can afford it. And that's going to be a decision that comes up to the taxpayers of this county. Can we afford it? Do you want to pay now? Do you want to pay later? Do you not want to pay now and not have the service? That's decisions that's got to be made. And this is tough. I've been on here for 2 years. This is tough. I never believed that this would be what this job was, but hey, I signed on, and it's okay. I'll take it. And you guys on fire and rescue, my God, I love you. I was 20 years a volunteer firefighter in Hillsville, 78 to 98. This county at that point had volunteers out the whatever. We never had this question those years. Now I'm living in the past. I want to know what's happened that people don't want to take pride in their community. People don't want to accept the responsibility. Somebody's got to do this. The state tells us we have to provide fire and rescue. If you don't volunteer, we got to hire people to do it. When we hire people to do it, what does it cost? Money. Well, I don't want to raise my taxes. I don't want to pay for that, but I want them there when I need them. That's not an option. That's not an option. What I'm asking right now is for the people of this county to man up. Man up and start volunteering. Hundreds of us did. We didn't have to have these paid, and I'm not knocking you by no means. We didn't have to have this paid facility. Call came in, boom, somebody's there, we took care of it. Did we do the best we could? We did the best we could. So the people of this county have got to look at, are we going to volunteer and help our neighbor? Are we going to sit at home when the alarm comes out and let somebody else take care of it? Well, somebody's got to pay for that. That's all I've got to say. I'm sorry. It's just been up, and I had to.
Great speech, Joe. I would like to say that Keith is stepping up, taking a position with the resignation of Mr. Everett Lineberry that is doing exactly the things that you're talking about.
Yes.
Being part of this community.
Yes.
Stepping into a position that's a very difficult position to be in. He's got great ideas. Let's support Mr. Slayball in his position so that he doesn't run out the door on me. That's
I did not take it personal at all.
Mr. Chair,
I do understand that, there was a lot of sorry, Rodney.
I was just going to get this to the point. Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we accept Mr. Slayball as our interim or temporary or full-time if he would take it.
Well,
Director of EMS.
Mr. Slayball has agreed to do a test run as an interim here.
Okay.
To help us out. We can evaluate ourselves and he can evaluate us. And doing so, I think he's showing great community spirit and he's the most knowledgeable person based off the recommendation and what I understand and looking through his personnel file that we could find. Pretty sure that we can't go outside this county and find anybody more qualified than Keith to do this and help us out.
I agree.
I agree.
I would.
I'm sorry, Keith.
I'll amend my motion to make him the interim director of EMS.
So I'm fully in support of Mr. Slayball, and he's got some ideas that's going to help us move us forward.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm
No,
sorry,
that-
I got on the band, I got on the
That's
soapbox.
completely fine.
I got a motion. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Motion and a second. Start with you, Bob.
I'm gonna put away my hanging rope here, but if Joe's softened, yes, I move yes.
Dr. Littrell?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Phil?
Yes,
I
and
say
thank you
yes.
for accepting.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
I'm sorry, Keith, I didn't mean to do that.
No problem. I do know there was a lot of things that were misinterpreted by some people.
Correct.
And Rex, as well as Mr. Dalton, have had a meeting with a lot of the EMS folks to hopefully straighten out some of them
I look very
misconceptions.
forward to working with you.
So we look very forward to working with you in the future. I know we face some challenges, and I believe with, open communication between all of us, that we can
That's the
fix
words I
them
want to hear,
challenges.
open communication. Thank you, sir.
We had a meeting from 4:30 to about almost 6 with the fire and EMS right here. So
Good.
we had a lot of discussions, a lot of good input, and a lot of things we're gonna be looking at. And the other thing we should look at is we need approval to hire part-time positions and positions to backfill. Does anybody want to make motions, or we can?
I'll make a motion that we do the needed staff adjustments in EMS to get us to where we need to be.
That gives
Would
Mr.
these be in EMS you're referring to?
That gives Mr. Dalton flexibility to advertise and do all those things.
Yes.
I'm not opposed to it, but we do have a hiring freeze.
Yeah, well, that's why
Can we get around that somehow?
well, we have to approve each one of them,
Yes.
essentially. And that's why we're, part-time, I'm not sure, we have a staff of part-time, but we need to add to that, and and have some other positions that probably need.
Dr. Will, Supervisors, I think what you've got to do here is, first, before you make that motion or second it, is to address that this is an essential service. Say this is an exception to your hiring freeze because you're on record and doing that. And allow the staff to advertise, look at those applications, and bring back some recommendations of how to backfill and look at these positions for EMS to make it viable where they're understaffed.
I will amend my motion to contain the words that Mr. Salell just shared, because I can't remember them all.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Yes.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Start with you, Joe.
Yes.
Phil?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Dr. Little?
Yes.
Robbie?
Yes.
And I say yes. Anything else we need?
Can we have supervisor's time?
Well, we didn't have it listed.
It's not on the
but-
agenda.
But you certainly, if you want to speak, I
Okay.
can certainly give it to you.
I apologize if I got on soapbox, but after a week and a half of that, and finding out that all this stuff was out there floating around, and knowing that we never intended for there to be that, it kind of, it gets to the point where you got to explode. But I want to tell the people of Carroll County, especially the people of Law Fork that I represent, I am in favor of everything. This cattle thing, I was in favor of it if we could afford it. I'm in favor of even the EMS if we can afford it. I don't want to put this county in debt any more than we are right now. I don't want anything in this county to happen on we'll pay for it if we can. That's why I grilled Go Virginia. I want to make sure that these I's are dotted and these T's are crossed, because the 2 years that I've been on the board, I found out that, and told things that it's a done deal that wasn't a done deal, and that makes you look bad, and that makes the citizens look bad. Folks, I want to tell you something. I don't know why I got on this, but I did, and I love it. But I want to help the people of this county do the best that this county can do. This county can prosper. I know that. Back in in my heart, I know this county can prosper. We just got to put the right people in the right place so that we're all in harmony. And we all have a good life here in Carroll County. And this is going to be a place that people want to come and live and work and develop industry. I know that. It's here. We just haven't untapped it yet. And I hope and I pray that this board can figure it out. Gosh, it ain't easy, is it, guys? I mean, we got people here with years of service. We got people with getting ready for their second term. Philip and I are here with 2 years' experience. Whew. It's tough. It's tough. Hang with us. Communicate with us. Don't assume. Don't assume anything, please. Because when you assume, it always goes to the negative. Communicate, talk to. We want the best. I know these 6 guys sitting right here, and myself included, want the best for this county. And we got so many things to look at to make sure that every tax dollar counts. With that said, I want to wish all you guys a very, yes.
You're saying don't assume, but you said that if we don't volunteer, we're not taking pride in the community, that we're showing we don't have pride. But
I'm sorry.
that is you assuming that that's how it is. You don't know how much I volunteer.
Yes,
you don't
ma'am.
know what else I do.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
you're saying because I'm not over at EMS volunteering, I'm not taking pride in my community. That's wrong. That's just his exact words. I talked to you.
I didn't see him.
And I address
So
that.
you saying that and then saying man up, man up, man up.
I apologize. I apologize.
And you should.
I apologize totally. Yes, I was talking about my career decades ago, and I apologize to you. There is a lot of volunteers in this county, and I apologize to all those when I said that. I wasn't taking you into consideration, and I'm sorry.
Phil?
I'd like to thank everybody for coming out, and I know I said a lot about the cattle thing. Come on the board, I knew we had debt, and I didn't realize how much debt we had till I got on the board. And I am one, when I put my groceries in the bag, I like to know what it's costing me, and that's why I question this. And when I spend the county's money or vote one of the 6 to spend it, I want to be beneficial to the most of the county. And I really don't want to see us have to do a tax increase or something. I want these employees of the county, when they take the check to the bank, I want it to have the money there to cover it. I don't want them to have a bad check. And to do so, we've got to spend wisely. We've got to look at all the things. We need to know the cost. We need to be careful how we spend the money. It is money, and I'm careful about mine, and I promise to try to be spending the county's money, because I know how it comes. You have to work for it. Hope y'all have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Bob?
I'm very optimistic on the county. We're facing some extensive financial problems, but I'm also confident we'll deal with them. Dr. Littrell and I went to the Virginia Association of Counties state meeting a couple of weekends ago, and I went to the budget hearing, and the governor apparently just raked in all this extra money and that unexpected, and so they had more money than they knew what to do with, and they're expecting another 2 years of similar funds to come in. And from going a couple of years ago to the federal meeting on rural prosperity, 200 of us across the nation, I can tell you that President Trump is fired up and working to make sure that the agriculture in the nation is able to, in 31 years, which is 2050, that we're able to feed and handle an increased population of, it'll be up to 400 million people. And I'm also optimistic about the county. In the past has had major problems. Sometimes they just, the way it works out, and we've always been able to get through. This is a problem I see on our finances that we'll be able to get through it too. And I appreciate all of you folks being here, and I'll miss you for a while, I guess, okay?
Dr. Littrell?
Well, I appreciate everybody being here. It was a really entertaining as well as informative meeting tonight. And I certainly learned a lot about our project that I didn't know about. And I was very reluctant to vote on anything that might not benefit the county in years to come. What I didn't understand was in 2 years, where was the money going to come from to keep this thing going? And I think that was carefully explained tonight, and I appreciate Mr. Dalton's solution to the problem, I believe, that we came up with so that we can go forward and not delay any longer. But anyway, I just appreciate all the citizens being here and speaking out and giving their input. And I certainly do support all of our EMS folks, the volunteers as well as our paid folks, and wish you best. And we're not going to take all the ambulances and all the wheels off your vehicles anytime soon, I hope. And congratulations on your new position. And Everett's sitting in the back, and I want to thank him for his services over the years. And we certainly are sorry to see you go, but understand that you found some greener grass on the other side of the county line. So best wishes to you.
Thank you.
And with that, I wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Robbie?
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody that is in attendance tonight. It's really good to see a crowd at a meeting. It really is. It makes us think that, you know, you all are watching what we're doing, and that's what needs to happen. You need to be attentive of what's going on. Over the past week, there's been all kinds of comments made. They should be audits done. They all this. You all should cut your all salaries, and first one thing then another. Well, folks, there's audits done every year. There's an audit company that comes here and does an audit every year. And it's on our website. You can see it and you can look at it and you can see what the audit says. And as far as our salaries, I don't know how many of you know, we make $5,500 a year. That's $458 a month. Last time the Board of Supervisors received a raise was in 2007. And calculate some of that out, folks, for what we're doing. We're not doing it for the money. None of us is up here doing this for the money. We're doing it because we care about this county. Over the last 4 years, we've all come across several business transactions that have been done in the past for this county that were not done properly, in my opinion. And I think we're doing a good job at trying to be more attentive to what's going on as a board. We're trying to make the best decisions for this county, because I don't agree with a tax increase. And unfortunately, we're getting really close if something can't be done. I really appreciate our EMS, our firefighters, our volunteers, whether you volunteer to teach Boy Scouts or whatever it is. Our volunteers don't get enough recognition. Joe, I'd like to reiterate and just second you on what you said about the media doing a better job of what we say and what we do. And
Well, yeah.
it just sometimes creates lots and lots of issues. Keith, congratulations. You know you have my support. I've tried to help you and do as much as I can. I think I've knew you since you come here. I had the opportunity to meet you when I worked at Lowe's, and I think our friendship grew over the years, and I think you'll do a great job. And Everett, when you called me last Tuesday morning, I could have died just about, to be honest with you, because you've done a great job. You've turned this EMS around, and it's doing what it needs to do, and we're serving the people. And it is a very vital service to our community. And thank you for what you've done. And best of luck in your new adventures. And as you know, I think I told you this the other day, as we get older, we have to prepare for our retirement, so I understand why you're doing it. Everyone have a great Thanksgiving, and thank you all for being here.
I guess it's down to me. Everett, I want to say, I really appreciate what you've done. That's a great job. And when you're firing EMS or just about any type job, you try to look forward into moving up into higher positions, that you have more responsibilities and better pay and better benefits. So I'm glad that you know, I miss you, but it gives someone else another opportunity. But we can say, look over at West County and say, that's our boy, that man over there. I appreciate that.
You can't get across the river when it's up. You're in trouble.
And Keith, I appreciate you taking this job. It's tough. And that was, we discussed the other day, the difficulty with being an acting or interim type thing. It's, you know, everybody around you knows that. You know, you don't really know where you want the job or not, you know, but it's a little bit more difficult when you're not the guy, you're interim. So we discussed that. So I think you're going to take the bull by the horns and do what's appropriate. To look at the other thing, we had the one statement under fire and EMS that we discussed, it said reduction of staff. We didn't say we was going to reduce staff, but that was the interpretation. I asked Robbie about it. He interpreted that way. I thought I had. I asked Slale, and he says, no, it's how we deal with the reduction of staff that we already have. And we've addressed that tonight. This is our first opportunity since the other meeting. And going forward, I don't care. Bob fussed at me for fussing at the school board, asking questions. I'm just going to ask questions all the time. That's just me. That's what I do. And I think the boards, everyone, should ask every possible question so we get to see if we're doing the right thing or not. And with that, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving and a safe trip home. Do I have a motion? Oh, one more thing. I ain't done yet. Or we're not done yet.
He's got his minute.
That's right. It's his turn.
Two issues out there. There was a check lost. I think that I sent you an email from the treasurer's office to a surety company to release a bond. She has requested board approval to reissue that check. I would request permission to reissue that check.
I make a motion that we allow the reissuance of that check.
Have a second?
So move.
I'm just going to ask everybody to say
Yes.
yes. If everybody say yes.
Yes.
All right, we have one other thing, is the Christmas bonus.
Last issue, did not know about the Carroll County tradition, so when I ran across it, I had not done what I was supposed to do. With the payroll checks, I would ask permission to write separate checks for the budgeted Christmas bonuses, $100 for full-time and $50 for part-time individuals. And hand those out tomorrow morning.
Do I have a motion for that?
I make a motion.
Go ahead, Mark.
Motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Point of clarification.
Sorry, discussion?
We don't get it.
We don't get it. That's right.
We don't get it.
Mr. Dalton don't get it.
I agreed to let Scrooge pass out some checks over there.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Now, can we adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.